God, I'm falling apart. That's not a prayer we're often taught to say out loud, but for some it's the only honest thing left. When the smile no longer sticks, when the tears become routine, when the world keeps moving but you can't. That's when it finally comes out, not in a whisper, not in strength, but in a cracked voice or a silent thought as your heart caves in. You don't even know what you're asking for. You just know you can't carry what's inside anymore. Maybe that's where you are now, or maybe you've been there so long it feels like home. You've read the verses, heard the sermons, repeated the phrases people say to look okay. But your soul isn't okay, it's unraveling. And every time you try to hold it together, it slips through your fingers again. You're tired of being strong. You're tired of pretending. And somewhere in the quiet, you've started to wonder, am I too far gone? You're not, and this message isn't about making you feel better, it's about showing you what's real. Because the God who created the stars, the one who calls them all by name, is the same God who kneels beside the brokenhearted. Psalm 147 verse 3 says, He healeth the broken in heart and bindeth up their wounds. It doesn't say He scolds them, ignores them, or asks why they're not doing better. It says He heals. But here's what no one tells you. Sometimes healing begins with collapse. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is admit you can't fix yourself. That you're done pretending, done controlling, done performing. That you don't have the answers. That you've run out of prayers. That all you have left is pain and questions and silence. And still He comes. He doesn't wait for you to be composed or eloquent. He walks straight into the mess, the ache, the unbearable heaviness, and He sits with you there. Not to lecture, not to explain, but to hold your heart while it breaks, to speak life where you only feel death. The truth is, you may be falling apart, but maybe, just maybe, this is the moment God begins putting you back together. You've heard it before, God heals the brokenhearted. But maybe those words have started to sound distant, overused, like something people say when they don't know what else to offer. You nod when you hear it because that's what's expected, but inside you're not sure you believe it anymore. Not for you. Because this isn't just pain, it's history. It's years of buried shame, silent disappointments, unanswered prayers. It's the weight of what's been lost and what never came. It's not one wound, it's many. And they don't bleed, they echo. In your thoughts, your choices, your relationships. You've carried them for so long, they've become a part of you. So when someone says, God can restore your soul, part of you wants to believe. But another part whispers, not mine. You've seen restoration in other people's lives, but your wounds feel deeper. Your past seems darker. Your heart more fractured. You've started to wonder if maybe you're just the exception. But let me ask you this. Who told you that your damage disqualifies you? Who convinced you that God's mercy has a limit? Because the Word says something different. Psalm 147 doesn't just describe a distant, cosmic deity. It reveals a God who holds universes in place and hearts in His hands at the same time. The one who numbers the stars also numbers your tears. He is not overwhelmed by your mess. He's drawn to it. Still, healing doesn't always come how we expect. It doesn't always come quickly. It doesn't erase the past, but it redeems it slowly, gently, thoroughly. It works like water on dry ground, softening, soaking, bringing life where there was none. And the first sign it's begun, you begin to feel the weight. That ache you carry, that restlessness in your chest, it may not be the end of hope. It might be the beginning of it. Because God doesn't just heal what hurts. He heals what hurts too much to name. What we hide even from ourselves. What we've locked away so deep we've forgotten it ever lived inside us. But He sees it, and He's not afraid to go there, to the darkest places, to the ugliest truths, to the rooms no one else would enter. He walks straight in, and He doesn't flinch. Some pain doesn't scream. It whispers. It hides in smiles, in polite replies, in I'm fine-s that never tell the whole story. It shows up when you're alone, when the noise fades and you finally hear your own thoughts. It visits in the form of numbness or overreaction, in the need to stay busy or the inability to move at all. And maybe you've learned how to function like this. Maybe no one even knows you're bleeding. But God knows. He doesn't need you to explain your pain. He doesn't wait for you to articulate what broke you. He sees the things you forgot to grieve, the small betrayals that added up, the moments you swallowed your voice, the promises people made but never kept, the times you were strong for everyone else and quietly shattered when no one was looking. And he doesn't overlook that pain, he treasures it. Psalm 56 says he collects your tears in a bottle. Not one is wasted, not one is dismissed. He remembers what others forgot. And where people gave up trying to understand, he comes closer. That closeness is not always loud. Sometimes it's just presence. The kind that doesn't fix everything right away but refuses to leave. The kind that waits, listens, holds, and over time something begins to shift, not because you made it happen but because he did. You see, healing doesn't start when you get over it. It starts when you stop hiding it, when you bring what's broken into the light, not to fix it on your own, but to let him see it, touch it, transform it. This is not about strength, it's about surrender. Restoration isn't earned through spiritual discipline, it's received through weakness, through falling apart in the arms of the only one who can hold you together. The gospel was never for the whole, it was for the hurting, for the crushed, for the ones who aren't sure they'll make it to tomorrow. If that's you, you're not disqualified. You're exactly who he came for. Healing doesn't always look like healing at first. Sometimes it looks like exhaustion, like emptiness, like silence. You think, God, where are you? When in truth, he's already begun. Because real restoration doesn't start with fireworks, it starts with stillness, with surrender, with a soul so tired of performing that it finally collapses and finds rest. You may be used to quick solutions, motivational words, instant relief, but God works on a different timeline. He's not in a hurry, and when he heals, he doesn't just patch the surface. He goes deeper, to the root, to the lie you've believed for years, to the identity you built from pain, to the walls you erected to protect yourself, walls that now keep love out. And he doesn't tear those walls down in rage. He gently dismantles them brick by brick, one memory at a time, one confession at a time, one long, tear-soaked prayer at a time. You might not even recognize what he's doing until months later, when something that used to crush you suddenly doesn't anymore. When you realize you're not reacting from fear. When joy returns quietly, like a bird finding its way back after a long winter. That's what he does. He restores, but not just what was taken. He restores what was never given, the love you lacked, the safety you needed, the words you should have heard. He speaks them now not from people but from himself, and they carry more weight than any human voice ever could. Still, restoration can feel lonely, because not everyone understands the process. Not everyone will see the growth right away. Some will expect the old version of you to show up, and when she doesn't, they might question it. Let them. God didn't heal you for them. He's healing you for himself, to dwell in you, to walk with you, to love you in ways you never thought possible. So if it feels slow, don't give up. If it feels quiet, don't doubt. You're not being ignored. You're being rebuilt. Every painful part of your story is now in his hands, and he's not wasting any of it. You're not being left behind. You're being made new. There's a kind of pain that doesn't just hurt. It isolates. It makes you feel like no one sees you, not really. Like even when people care, they still don't understand. And over time, that kind of pain convinces you of something subtle but dangerous, that you're alone in this. That if anyone really knew what's inside, they'd walk away too. But God never walks away. He doesn't just see your pain, he sees you, the real you, the unfiltered, unpolished, unresolved version you hide from everyone else. He sees the way your mind spirals late at night, the flashbacks you can't shake, the guilt that sticks like glue to your chest, the shame you carry without telling anyone. He knows the version of you even you try to avoid, and he doesn't flinch. In fact, that's the version he came for. You might think you need to get cleaned up before you come to him, but that's not the gospel. The gospel isn't about earning your way to wholeness. It's about falling at his feet with all your pieces and finding that he's already reaching out, with nail-scarred hands, steady and open. Not waiting for you to be less of a mess, but willing to enter your mess to begin the miracle. Because healing isn't about being okay. It's about being known, deeply, fully, intimately. The kind of knowing that terrifies us because we're so used to love being conditional. We've learned that to be accepted, we have to perform. To be wanted, we have to hide the parts that feel too heavy, too ugly, too much. But God's love doesn't work like that. He doesn't tolerate your brokenness. He moves toward it, not because you're useful, not because you got better, but because he is love, and love doesn't wait for healing to begin. Love enters the wound. It binds. It holds. It stays. And the longer it stays, the more you begin to believe what seemed impossible. That maybe you're not too broken to be fixed. Maybe you're exactly broken enough to be healed. Somewhere deep inside you might still be asking, but does he really love me? Not the version of you people like. Not the moments when you're smiling, showing up, doing well. No, does he love you on your worst days, in your darkest thoughts, when you relapse into fear, shame, or self-hate, when you question his goodness or feel nothing at all? Yes, that's when he loves you most visibly, because that's when you need him most. God's love isn't like human love. It's not earned, it's not measured, and it doesn't retreat when things get hard. It's covenant love. It binds itself to you not because you're worthy, but because he has declared you worth everything, even his own blood. This isn't sentimental, it's violent grace. It cost him everything to make you his, and he didn't do it out of pity. He did it because he wanted you. You at your lowest. You with all the damage. You with all the questions and contradictions and fears. You with the pieces that still don't fit. That's the beauty of this healing. It doesn't demand that you become someone else. It invites you to come undone, to stop hiding behind strength, to collapse into the arms that don't let go. You don't need to earn God's embrace, you just need to stop running from it. Because the truth is, he's already closer than you think. In the moments when you feel most numb, he's near. In the ache behind your eyes, he's present. When your voice cracks in prayer, or when it goes silent entirely, he's not offended. He stays, he listens, and not with crossed arms but with open scars, because your brokenness doesn't scare him, it draws him. This is not a love that waits at a distance. It steps in, it absorbs the pain, it breaks with you, and then it begins to rebuild. No shame, no rush, just mercy. So if you're still asking, does he really love me? Maybe the better question is, can I finally believe that he always has? Healing rarely comes with fanfare. It doesn't arrive with dramatic signs or perfect clarity. It comes like morning light through a cracked window, slow, soft, unnoticed at first. But if you sit still long enough, you begin to feel its warmth. You begin to realize that something inside you shifted. Not fixed, not finished, but different. Maybe you woke up and the weight wasn't as heavy. Maybe you prayed and didn't feel empty. Maybe for the first time in weeks or months or years, you hoped, just a little, just enough to whisper, what if he's not done with me? That's not nothing. That's new life pushing through the soil of your sorrow. That's grace doing what grace does best, moving quietly, breaking ground where everything once felt dead. You didn't force it. You didn't earn it. You just let go, and in the letting go, you made room for something deeper to take root. This is how God restores us, not with a magic word, but with presence, with nearness, with days where your mind is still messy but your heart is held, with moments where the tears come and you don't hide them this time, where you stop explaining and start receiving. And when he begins that work, he doesn't stop halfway. Philippians 1:6 says, "He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion." That means even when you feel stuck, even when you fall back into old fears, even when the pain flares up again, he hasn't left. You are not a failed project. You are a soul under construction, and every setback is already accounted for in the plan of a God who does not rush healing. So don't panic if you're not whole yet. Don't measure your progress by the absence of pain. Sometimes, the presence of peace in the middle of pain is the greatest sign that God is working, because healing isn't the absence of brokenness, it's the presence of mercy right in the middle of it. And if that mercy has found you, even just once, then you are no longer the same. There's something sacred about pain that's been touched by God. It doesn't disappear, it transforms. It becomes softer, quieter, and strangely it starts to carry beauty. Not because pain is good in itself, but because in God's hands, even the worst wounds can tell a better story. And maybe that's what's beginning to happen in you. The shame that once silenced you is now being broken open, not to embarrass you, but to set you free. The memory you couldn't face is now being revisited, not to torment you, but to heal the part of you still stuck there. God doesn't waste wounds. He weaves them into your identity, not as scars of failure, but as signs of grace. You're not who you were, and you're not who you'll be, but you are becoming someone new, slowly, quietly, day by day. It doesn't always feel like progress. Sometimes it just feels like surviving. But God sees every breath you take in faith, every tear you let fall instead of running, every small moment where you choose to stay in the light, even when your soul wants to hide. Those are the battles that matter. Those are the victories heaven sees. The world may still call you broken, but God calls you His. He doesn't define you by what hurt you. He defines you by what healed you. And as that truth takes root, you'll start to see yourself differently, not as the one who was too damaged, but as the one who was deeply known and still chosen. You may not have words for it yet. That's okay. New things don't always come with language. Sometimes they just come with silence that doesn't crush you anymore, with rest that actually restores, with a hope that feels unfamiliar but warm. That's what healing does. It changes how you see everything, your past, your pain, your future. You no longer have to pretend. You no longer have to strive. You no longer have to carry it alone. You are not a burden. You are being rebuilt by mercy. And mercy never runs out. You made it here, not by accident, not by chance, but by grace. Maybe you clicked this video with your soul unraveling. Maybe you didn't expect much. Maybe you just needed a voice, any voice that understood. And somehow through all the pain, all the questions, all the silence, you've arrived at this moment. And the truth is still the same. You are not too broken to be healed. Not too far gone, not too late, not beyond mercy. You are the very reason mercy exists. The cross wasn't for people who had it together. It was for the crushed, the confused, the deeply flawed and silently screaming. For the one who kept going even when they didn't know why. For the one who can't explain their wounds but can still feel every one of them. For you. Jesus didn't die to make you feel better. He died to make you whole. And He lives now to carry you through the shame, through the relapse, through the slow healing, and into the freedom only He can give. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to fall into the arms that have never once let go of you. So let this moment be sacred. Not flashy, not loud, just sacred. If your soul has been stirred, if your eyes have filled with tears you didn't expect, if something inside you said, "That's me," then don't leave this behind. Don't let it fade. Let this be the start of something new. Subscribe not for content but for connection. For truth that speaks in the dark. For reminders when you forget. For hope when it feels too far away. If this message touched your heart, stay close. Not to me, but to what He's doing in you. Because this isn't the end. This is the beginning. And He's not finished with you yet.